Can you relate to this? So last weekend I had some free time. I was thinking to myself, maybe I should do some DIY stuff. So I look up on YouTube, DIY chair. And this is what shows up. Ooh, under $100. And then you notice that saw, $500. That jigsaw, another $250. That drill, another $100. And every single one of these videos is like this too. Even in this video, the clamps itself is $10 each. And there's 2 of them, plus all these drills. It adds up. Everything adds up for just a weekend hobby. Especially in this video, it says beginner. And we have a table router. What type of beginner has a table router? So that gave me the idea for this video. How cheap can I DIY a chair with tools and everything included? First, I look on Amazon for an electric drill. There are actually quite a few of them, so I just chose one, this green one right here. It looks pretty good. It has some decent reviews. While I wait for the drill to come, let's of course go to Home Depot to get everything else. If you didn't know, Home Depot can actually cut the wood for you. Just a matter of fact, if the employee care about being precise. I wanted 18 inches and it might be like 18.1, 17.9, but it didn't really matter at the end. It's timber, it's woodworking. Imperfection is part of the game. I bought 3 8-foot 2x4s and 1 8-foot 2x6, and I asked the dude to cut it to this measurement on the screen right here. So there's a lot of screws, and if you don't know, just go with the exterior. 3 inches, all right. 2.5 inch, not 2.5 inches, probably better, but I'd probably go with the 3 inch for now. Some N95 for sanding. Just got the cheapest one, $4. I normally just random pick a color. It doesn't really matter in the end. I just random pick a color. Let's see what I'm feeling today. Espresso. Okay, let's go with a dark one. Espresso. And then probably go for this water base and my gloss. Water base is a lot less smelly. I'll also be getting the 80 and the 120. Ah man, we're at 131 cents. So I put back the pack of 3 masks and got the single mask instead. And now we're at under $100. So the drill finally came. $20. This is not bad. It works. And what else is in the box? We have a drill charger. This thing, you can now change the angle to 90 degrees. Pretty nice. Drill head, normal, very standard drill bits, and some screws. Time to test out the drill before I go outside. Nice. This is why you always make sure to have a pilot hole. Dude, $20 drill. The problem is the longevity. How long will this last? Hopefully, it's good enough for one project. Alright, we have all the supplies. Time to finally start building. I'm just gonna be on the ground since I don't have a workbench. Look at the height. There's so much height difference. But it just doesn't really matter for general construction, but for something like delicate as a chair, try to find similar ones. I'm just spending a few minutes here measuring the height of them and then group them for tall ones and the short ones. Okay, so these are about the same height. These are about the same height. Those, I don't really care too much. The 5 horizontal ones are 18 inches and the 2 outside ones are 19 inches. Since we didn't buy any clamps, I like to use a tiny bit of wood glue and let that air dry. It's not for any structural purpose, it's just so that when we are screwing the screws, it doesn't shift too much. For this project, I'm building 2 of them, the 5x18 and then the 2 19s on the side. We want the cleanest edge possible for the glue. And now for the legs of the chair, I'm using the 2x6, those are cut at 22 inches, and also for the handlebar, I'm using the 19 inch. Now I'm wiping the glue clean since I won't be using it for the rest of the project. But if you want to use the glue for the next project, make sure you wipe it clean. Speaking from a lot of experience, because if you don't wipe it clean, you can't open it. And the trick here is just a damp paper towel. For the pilot hole, random scrap piece of wood, just put it here. And then we move this over, and then just roughly right here in the middle, right here in the middle, and then if we want vertical ones, just vertical, and then just right here in the middle, right here in the middle. Dude, this is surprisingly good. In the woodworking field, this is considered ugly because you can see the bolt and it's not even countersinked in. But as your first project with this budget, it is fine. It is perfectly fine. I'm trying to figure out which wood looks the prettiest to be on the outside, to be where you're sitting at, which is currently facing the ground.
Oh yeah. It's good.
Now I'm starting on the backrest.
Take a scrap piece of wood, pound them in. Oh no, it just died. Alright, it's nighttime now, and this thing should be all... It took so long for this to charge, and I was busy. It's still not perfectly flush, so another easy way is to get one of these drill bits and just to drill a tiny hole right there. This is called countersink.
I actually gave up on the countersink. It was just too much work, and it was not really worth it. This is not the real countersink drill bit, so it's also kind of hard to do it.
This is perfect.
Now it's time to start connecting the bottom to the legs.
And then I'm going to drill this in, so then this becomes my ruler.
Making this ruler is very important because we want the seat to be exactly the same height from the ground, so then it's level, so then you're not slanted when you're sitting down. And then I'm also using a leftover 2x4 scrap right there, so I can offset the chair by a little bit. And I'm using the ruler on the other leg too, just like the first leg.
Oh, yep.
Right now it's very sturdy, but tiny bit wobbly because I haven't put the back on yet. As soon as I put the backrest on, it becomes super sturdy. And now for the backrest, I have the edges flush against the seat on the bottom, and I've slanted it so then it's flush against the armrest, just barely. I'm also using a scrap piece of wood as a ruler so I can drill the same pile hole height on both sides.
Hurry, 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 hurry.
Look at that, perfectly flush. Now I'm just putting some more screws against the bottom to make it more secure.
I have 4 screws left, so let's just use them all. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is perfect. This is literally perfect. Look, I use this so much the screw is about to come out. This is how far the screw is supposed to go. This is
That's day 1 complete. Quite frankly, my favorite part of this project. And the next part is sanding, my least favorite part.
This is a good chair.
It is the next day, and we're on sanding. Sanding is honestly the most important part of the project. Sanding is honestly the most important part in all woodworking. If you have a bad sanding job, the whole job is just bad. Sanding is what people care about. And since we are on a budget, I don't have my orbital sander, and I'm sanding my hand. Starting off with 80 grit. And then we move on to 120 grit. That's where we stop because that's our budget. Normally I would go all the way up to 220 grit if I can, but we're on a budget right now. Make sure you sit in your chair so you can actually test out if you actually sanded the spots where your skin will make contact with the wood so you don't get any splinters. Sanding took me a total around an hour or two, and I would say it was still not a very good job. But a very good job sanding my hand, not a very good job orbital sanding. If I had an orbital sander, it would have been done in less than 10 minutes. Because every mistake you make in sanding, you can see it tenfold as soon as you add staying. I just grabbed a random bark chip outside to mix the staying, and then I'm using paper towels to drip a little bit of staying, and then wipe it down. If you get some oil stain on your hand, most of the time you can just wipe it off. If you can't wipe it off, use some olive oil or any type of cooking oil, and soap in hot water can just easily come off. Hello, Puppy here for a very important side note. Since I'm using a water finish on top of an oil stain, I have to wait for the oil stain to completely finish curing. Curing is not the same thing as drying. Drying, is just dry to the touch. That probably takes around like 5 hours. But curing, you have to wait for the oil stain to go all the way through the wood. And that probably takes around, I don't know, 72 hours minimum. And sometimes it can even go up to a week or two. So if you don't want to wait that long, just use water on top of water or oil on top of oil. And in my peculiar case, I like the water finish on top of oil, so I'm just gonna wait. I am brushing on 4 to 5 layers of polyurethane, which I'm waiting 10 to 15 minutes in between, so it has plenty of time for the water base to dry.
Once the polyurethane's all dry, we use some paper bags as sandpaper.
A brown paper bag has an estimate of 400 grit, so it's perfect for a finish. And boom, here's the final product. Considering it was under $100, tools and supply included, it doesn't look too bad. Of course, there can be a lot of improvement, which I'll talk about pretty soon, but from the distance, it looks okay. If you go closer, you can see some of the mistakes I made. Alright, let's see it. Oh, this is actually really comfortable. This is surprisingly comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. You can either sit straight up or you can slouch a little like I always do. Yeah, this is nice. I looked up online the cushions. They come in a pack of 2, so that forces me to build another chair. Speaking of building another chair, I'm going to build another chair anyways, and next time I'll use more tools, more expensive stuff. Starting off with number 1, orbital sander. I haven't hand sanded anything in a very long time, and there's a good reason for that. It's because it sucks. Hand sanding sucks. Just wiping constantly everything. The only places I focus are where my skin will touch, like the elbow, the seats, the headrest, where my skin will touch. That's where I sanded it really well. For the places like underneath, I didn't sand at all. I barely sanded at all. And plus my sandpaper was 80 grits and the 120 grits. It's not even fine enough for the sealers, for the finish anyways. So if I wasn't on a budget, I'll buy better sandpaper, more sandpaper, and also an orbitals. Alright, number 2, the quality of timber. This is construction grade 2x4, the cheapest 2x4 I can find. It's even the purple 2x4, so it's the leftover of the scrap of the 2x4s, and some of it was free. So I would tell the guy to cut off the end grains. Right here I'm using an end grain. You can feel it. I did a lot of sanding for it, but I would just tell him to cut off like a 1/4 inch. But besides that, this is really good. It's really sturdy. There's a lot of screws in here, so there's more than enough sturdy. Alright, number 3, drivers. I just had one driver for both drill driver and the impact driver. For next time, I'll just use 2 separate ones so I don't have to constantly switch the bit. Speaking of drilling holes, I wouldn't use these typical drill pilot holes from the outside anymore because you can see the screws. I will use pocket holes for my next project. For my next chair, I'll just use pocket holes. They're much easier. It's much more fun to use them too. And plus it's a chair, pocket holes are more than strong enough. Alright, number 4, the finish. The finish wasn't bad. It's just I didn't do a very good job sanding. Back to sanding. I hate sanding. I hate sanding my hand. It's just some of the places are a little bit rough because I didn't sand very well. But besides that, the finish, the seal, the polyurethane, it's not too bad. It's just sanding. I hate sanding, if you don't know already. And number 5, a workstation. I didn't have a workstation. I just worked on the ground. It is terrible for your back and for my knees. I didn't have my skateboarding knee pads, so that my knees hurt a little, but that's minor. I'll just work on a table. I'll just go get a table, or maybe I'll build a workstation. But besides that, this is a really good job. But yeah, besides that, this is a really good chair. Very sturdy. It doesn't wobble. The main takeaway of this is everything that your skin will touch, use an orbital sander. just use an orbital. Just go buy an orbital sander. Go up the grits, 80 grits, 120 grits, 150, 180, 220. Just go buy a sander. But besides that, you can cheap out on everything else.